That's it. I've had enough. Sign me up. Take my money, please. Devin Haney is looking in crazy shape ahead of his upcoming fight with Brian Norman. Ego Weight Watcher, we got to talk about it. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Now, I'm back with my regularly scheduled programming, Ego Weight Watchers, aka EW, where I give you a look into the fighter lifestyle, before, after, and progress picks, especially when they have an upcoming fight. November 22nd, Brian Norman is defending his belt against Devin Haney. If you are a fan of my channel, you will know that I've already stated I really, truly love this fight. One of the best fights being made towards the end of this year. You know, the year is almost up before 2026, and it's a great fight. For me, what makes it a great fight is the moniker you always hear in boxing: styles make fights. So these guys are pretty evenly matched, and I'll give you a brief synopsis, if you will. Devin Haney, on his side, he has good size, which we'll get into in a minute. He definitely is the more accomplished, which means he has the better experience as well. Meaning he fought a Lomachenko, and there's no one on Norman's bill that's as celebrated or decorated as a Lomachenko, where Devin can be like, I got to win, albeit it was close, controversial, but I still stepped foot in the ring with him, right? Even the Ryan Garcia fight, you stepped in the ring with him, and so on and so forth, multi-division champion. So experience matters in the sport of boxing, I try to tell you. So Devin has some things going his way. He also, I made a video about it, he got to Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, in advance. So he's had more time to settle down, settle in, work out any kinks, adjust to the climate, the time zone, adjust to the ceremonies. You know, I mean, you guys, it don't sound like much, but if you're not the fighter or you're not around this environment, you wouldn't really understand. I've been in the fighters' room, but on fight week as they're preparing. And sometimes they're getting calls like, you got the commission says come downstairs. So we as a team, or, you know, the fighter team or whatnot, got to run downstairs and speak to the commission, or they'll call your room or your cell phone and be like, hey, we're doing fighter meetings. Hey, you got an interview with ESPN, HBO, Showtime. So it gets hectic. So definitely having more time to settle in is beneficial. On the Brian Norman side, he seems to always be in shape. So I'm going to give him credit for discipline. He's the champion. It's harder to take a guy's O. He doesn't want to lose his belt. He doesn't want to lose his O. And he's built up momentum. A lot of people keep bringing up the fight where he was dropped one time and he got back up and the fight ended up a no contest. See, this is the part of boxing that I don't prefer, because any level of man fans, you're not going to like me and you won't like my channel, because I'm going to keep it real with you. I don't care who you like. You can support them, but you got to be real and you got to be realistic. What did he say in the Serious Jones battle? Keep it real. You don't even keep it realistic, right? A lot of y'all are man fans and beta males, and you don't keep it realistic to boxing. You just groupied out for a fighter. I'm not with none of that. I respect the fighters, but you got to call a spade a spade. Yeah, dig. So the Haneyacks, I'm doing a Devin video talking about how he's in shape. I don't never take away credit in blood, sweat, and tears, hard work, dedication from no fighter. So we're going to get into the Devin video. I'm just previewing it. But when I do a Devin video, the Haneyacks are like, oh, Ego, you the best. This is amazing. I love your channel. But several videos ago, I did one showing that Brian Norman in the leaked pictures and video, he looking jacked. And they're like, man, muscles don't win fights, man. Who cares? Devin's still going to win. So keep the same energy. And at the end of the day, I feel like Nas when he was like, how can Nas be garbage? Semi-autos at your cottage. Like, how can I be garbage, bro? I got to be the best in the business. I give you the positives, the negatives, everything in between, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If Devin Haney does something right, I give him props. If Brian Norman does something right, I give him props. And you notice there's a lot of low quality content in the sport of boxing and they not moving like that. It's like Devin, and then we'll act like Brian Norman don't exist at best. If not, we're talking bad about him and his father, blah, blah, blah. So I got to get these little rants out. For me, we not on that. If you a real fan of boxing, you good in my book. If you a man fan, I don't really care about you. So I'm looking forward to this fight though. I think it's a good fight. I just broke down kind of some of the strengths, not really weaknesses, but the strengths of both fighters. There are different things, that each person brings, and that should make for a good fight. But I seen this and I did like this a lot from Devin Haney. What is that? Boom. This boy is in shape. This is the biggest I've ever seen Devin look. He got veins. He looking vascular. He looking like he put on some mass. It looked like he really grinding and putting in time, effort, and work. Kudos to that. As he should. I mean, you're in there with somebody that is supposed to be your kryptonite, so you should be looking like this. So Devin Haney, SNAC athlete, rest in peace to Victor Conte. He just recently passed. I don't know what kind of program and weights or whatever, strength and conditioning they got him on, but the kid is looking jacked ahead of the fight. And now Brian Norman also said this. He was like, man, a lot of people get it twisted. They think I'm so big and stuff. He's like, nah, that ain't it at all. I just got bricks for hands. He's like, I just got bricks. You know what I mean? That's all that is I got bricks. People think I'm this big colossus, but I'm really not all that big. And I never advocated or stated that I was this huge dude. I just got power. So that is one thing. I'm not taking nothing away from Devin. He looks to be in amazing shape. However, bulking up could have its pros and cons. And if you know boxing, you'll know what I'm saying is true. All right. Meaning a guy like Terrence Crawford, and I can't give that to Devin. I can't put him on the level of Terrence Crawford, right? Terrence Crawford is proven and he has a totally different style. He actually has punching power, something like Devin's not necessarily known for. So just to give you an example in boxing, Crawford moves up in weight for the Canelo and it didn't seem to bother him none. And he moved up 2/3 weight classes. And Crawford it looks like his power, speed. He was who he's always been, even in the lighter divisions. That's one example of how it could go when you bulk up. Another example, Deontay Wilder, right? Where when Wilder was trying to set the record straight in the Fury fight, first fight was a draw. Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, he tried to bulk up. Well, he didn't try, he did. And it was, at the time, it was a career high weight that he weighed in at. And he looked great in terms of a picture. Like, he looked brolic. But for a guy like Wilder, that wasn't really needed. You're not Anthony Joshua, who's just this brolic looking G.I. Joe action Jackson looking dude, right? Wilder had natural power, has natural power, and a basketball type of frame. People called him a basketball player and said, you got skinny legs and all this stuff. But Wilder was still knocking fools out. So for Wilder, he proved throughout his career, he doesn't need extra weight per se. But where Wilder went wrong, in my opinion, is he tried to match a bigger person, knowing Fury comes with the little trickeries and a weird, awkward style. So Fury was going to come in 300 pounds like he did, extremely heavy. He's already a little bit taller than Wilder. So Wilder kind of tried to match him in that department. And then he wanted to be like, I'm going to fight and I'm going to be heavier. So you feel my punches more. And so you can't move me around in the clinch and stuff like that. So in theory, it sounded good. It sounded great, you know, in theory, that a bigger Wilder would be more destructive. But if you look at the second and third fight where the third fight, I think, is the one where he really looked bulked out and buff, like buffer than normal. If you look at that fight for Wilder, his effort, he did hurt Fury, but he also, to me, he kind of, because there was a lot going on. He had been stopped by Fury by the third fight and stuff like that. He got stopped in the second fight. His ear was bleeding. He said Fury cheated. So he kind of came in emotional. That was a part of it. But also for me, Wilder bulking up. So it was like a double whammy, if that makes sense. You're fighting off emotion because you said Fury cheated you and, you know, he was a foul individual. So you're already kind of in the emotional zone. But in addition to that, you added muscle mass, and then muscle mass kind of slowed you down. So what I noticed in that third fight to complete the trilogy with Fury, Wilder did good in spots, but he also looked extremely gassed in the first half of the fight, which is something like he fought the first Luis King Kong Ortiz fight, the very first one. He fought Ortiz and knocked him out like in the 11th or 12th round. I don't remember exactly. But I remember it was the last 2 rounds of the fight. He had like hurt him or knocked him out. So Wilder carries his power late, but then within 5 rounds, Wilder looks spent versus Tyson Fury. So bad combination. So what I'm saying when it comes to Devin, in pictures, this looked good, but this is not like you're in a Creed movie. I always use Creed because it's a Hollywood movie. You know, this is not like, oh, you're in a Creed movie, so you just want to look good on camera, right? You got to have functional muscle, right? So I know he has a good team that they're going to try to get him to do the right exercises. The point I'm making ultimately is that weight can hurt or help you. It really is tailor-made and dependent on the individual. It truly is, because some guys can add the bulk and maybe they needed it, because a guy like Devin might need it because he was hurting himself and illing himself to make 35 and 40. There's a reason why Devin only fought like 2 fights at 140, and now he can't make the weight no more, nor could he go back down to 140 probably comfortably, unless the only way I see that happening is if Brian Norman cooks him and knocks him out or something, and then maybe he'll try to make the sacrifice to drop back in weight if he feels outgunned, outmatched, or loses real bad to Norman. Then maybe he'll consider moving back down in weight, because some guys do that after they get cooked. So I'm gonna keep bumping my gums when it comes to this fight, because there's a lot of data points and a lot of angles and things to analyze. I really like this fight. Devin, he looks to be in tip-top shape, and it looks like a move up was definitely needed. It does make me question, right? And I know the timing might not be the greatest with Victor Conti's passing, but I'm just being fair like I always am, right? It does make me question, like, what is the method and methodology where Devin was even making 35 and making 40? Meaning, like, what is the routine? What are the supplements that allow for that? And then you can move up your first fight at 140, fight Regis Prograis, who's been fighting at 40 and was known as pretty much a puncher at 140. And then you look bigger than him in your first fight there, and you outweigh him when you rehydrate. So I'm just curious, like, what you've done for that to be the case. So don't be surprised if Devin looks bigger than Brian Norman. It is definitely a possibility because he's looking pretty big in these pictures. And again, it looks like the move up was very much needed for Devin. Very much needed, because now that he's moved up, he's looking colossal. And to be honest, I'm going to say this about Devin and Shakur and Keyshawn. When you see how big they are per capita, like per the division they're in, it almost makes them look bad that they wanted to fight Gervonta Tank Davis, because from the looks of it, these three probably shouldn't have ever been in the same division as Tank at the same time, because they look from Shakur looks like he easily could have been in the 140s plus. Ryan Garcia, he looks like he should have been in the 140s, 147s. Devin and Keyshawn, all of them, right? Tank is the only one where he looks like the weight class he's actually fighting in out of this younger generation, right? Even Abdullah Mason, he's young, so I think he can cut the weight pretty good, but he looks pretty big. And the fact that he's young is kind of like a Jerron Boots Ennis thing. I've already told y'all about Boots. You're young, your body's more like forgiving, and it'll work with you a little bit more. These young guys aren't fighting at their real weights, bro. It's just what it is. There's a lot of campaigning and making a bigger sacrifice in the weight cut department to stay at a comfortable weight, right? It is what it is. But back to it, Devin looks to be in terrific shape. I am happy about that because I want to see a good fight. Brian Norman, he's going to have to come with it because Devin looks like he's pulling out all the stops. Now, on the contrary, I will say this is, like 50 said, you can do all them push-ups to pump up your chest. I got a 12 gauge Mossberg to pump up your chest, right? You could do all them push-ups and bulking up, and it still don't make you the stronger fighter. But we'll see what happens in this fight. An example, Tim Bradley was ripped, not like 4% body fat or whatever. He looked jacked. He's still Ruslan Provodnikov. If you've seen Tim Bradley when he fought Ruslan Provodnikov, right? If you've seen him and Ruslan at the beach, like just like a blind test, you've seen Tim Bradley at the time and Ruslan Provodnikov at the time, and they both had their shirt off, pause, at the beach. You would be like, you would consider that Bradley is an athlete or a running back or, you know, plays some kind of sport or wrestling. You look at Ruslan, you wouldn't necessarily know. You know what I mean? You wouldn't necessarily know that Ruslan was the bigger puncher. And it's funny because a lot of people, they get it confused. They think punching power comes with size. There's people who their body type, phenotype don't look nothing crazy, but they'll sleep you, right? Just how the game goes. So Bradley looked big, but he was getting hurt in there versus Ruslan Provodnikov, but he was out here looking like Rambo. So I'm curious to see if Brian Norman could be Devin's Ruslan Provodnikov, the American black version. Let me know how I did in this Ego Weight Watchers. Great fight. Looking forward to it. You dig. Subscribe for more boxing news. Hit 'em up. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new, but even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate. So ultimately,